Okay, so the purpose of this interview is to highlight the social issue of drug addiction, including the impact drug issues have on teens. Please introduce yourself and state your connection to this social issue.
Hello, my name's Sam. I was addicted to drugs and alcohol throughout my teenage years into my early 20s, where I abused a lot of different drugs and alcohol, and it definitely had a very deep impact on my life during that time.
Okay. So to get started, my first question is, what was your experience with drug addiction? What did it look like as a teenager?
Well, it kind of started when I was in middle school. I had friends whose parents smoked weed, and sometimes after school we would go over there. We would hang out a lot. I had a single mother who was always working, so didn't really have much supervision growing up. I had an older brother who was 2 years older than me, um, and he didn't really look after me the way that most parents would. So I spent a lot of time at my friends, and we would get into their parents' marijuana, and we would use it. And that was kind of like my first introduction to it, and didn't really do it that much in middle school after that. But when I got into high school, that's kind of when the heavy usage started, kind of end of eighth grade into high school. Um, from that point, I was pretty much using marijuana every single day, um, with my friends, socially, in large groups. And then that kind of transitioned from just marijuana into alcohol, and I was drinking a lot. And then once I was drinking a lot, that kind of opened the doors for more harder drugs. As my kind of tolerance got used to them, I started taking pills, doing cocaine, pretty much anything, shrooms. I did acid, and all of this was done socially. So I was doing it with my friend group, and kind of everybody in my social circle, a large portion of my high school were all doing drugs together, essentially.
Okay. So, what would you say were the top contributors to your drug issues?
I mean, I think there's a couple factors. One of them was again kind of just the social environment, like my environment of where I was. It was very normalized and kind of just popular thing to do. Would to be go to parties, smoke weed after school, taking Xanax during school. Um, Pretty much, again, a large portion of my high school, that's what everybody was doing. I went to a very affluent high school where kids had, SS amount of cash and money to just spend. And they spent it, or, we kind of all spent it on partying and having a good time and doing drugs. So I'd say environment definitely one, just, what you're surrounded by. And then also kind of just the self part, like, being depressed. I was definitely depressed as a teenager. The drugs made it worse. So it's like this cycle of, you do it to want to feel good, to feel better. But in the end, it kind of just makes you worse when you're not actually, um, doing the drug at that time. So it's like you feel good for a little bit, it wears off, and then it's just a vicious cycle. So I think just my environment and my mental state and immaturity, I think, kind of, and just being naive in general about drugs and what it was doing to my body, um, all of that, I feel like, had a huge part and played a big role into it.
So, what do you think were some ways your addiction affected you and the people around you?
So going back to what I was saying before, I think it just exacerbated, me feeling depressed and me having an anxiety. I was smoking and drinking and doing drugs to the point where I was getting just kind of paranoid about the people I was hanging out with, just different relationships. And, again, that just kind of put me into a big depression. Um, and it definitely affected others around me. Like my relationship with my mom was very turbulent at that time. Obviously, looking back, she was trying to do everything she could to help me, and I just kept pushing her away. And I don't know. I think I kind of just had to hit that rock bottom and like really get to the lowest point of my life to kind of really understand and for it to kind of shake me awake and like have me sit there and really realize what I was doing and the effect that it was having on my life.
Okay. So, in what ways, I'm sorry, different question. What were the top contributing factors to you overcoming your addiction?
So one drastic thing that I decided to do, I was living in Chicago, suburbs of Chicago at the time. Um, One thing that kind of happened is my girlfriend at the time, I was 19, about to be 20, she got pregnant. Um, and I also, a couple months before that, got a DUI when I was, 18, about to turn 19. And um, that was kind of a wake up call. I totally wrecked my car, snapped the wheels off my car, called my dad when I was kind of blacked out drunk and wasn't even living at his house. And he came and got me like right as they were putting me in the back of a squad car. So like watching him watch me get arrested and then him, bailing me out of jail the next day, and just realize that, I just totaled my car. It was summer. I now had no license. I couldn't go anywhere. So I had a lot of time to sit there and think about what I was doing and the impact all this was having on my life. And then, sorry, like I was getting back to my girlfriend at the time, after this, shortly after that, she got pregnant. And again, that was kind of another thing that kind of rocked me and made me realize I need to completely change everything that I'm doing in my life. So I made the decision to move to Nashville, to Tennessee at that time. Excuse me, at that time, and um, you know, getting away from everything I was surrounded by, the environment, all the friends that I was doing all these, bad things with, just getting away from all of that and feeling like I really could have a fresh start. I mean, those were the biggest things that kind of changed the trajectory of my life and made me kind of snap out of the addiction and realizing, there's more important things um, in life and things that can make you feel good that aren't related to drugs and alcohol.
So, my last question, what ways do you feel like this social issue affects you today?
I mean, it affects me today because I have two teenage kids. One is in high school, one is in middle school, about to be in high school. And I mean, it definitely affects me. It scares me that, that they could fall into the same kind of cycle of being around people, getting peer pressure to do things, and experiment, and then them again falling into that same trap of feeling like they need that to be happy or to feel joy, or just to kind of feel alive. And it's just dangerous. Like, I mean, me today, like I haven't done drugs or, alcohol or abused them in well over a decade. And I feel like anyone can kind of be driven to that point based on things that can happen in their lives. Like everyone faces adversity, and people can be driven to the point of again feeling like they have no hope. And if they want to feel just an inkling of happiness or anything, though, it's so easy to turn to drugs. And I just am scared that um, depression is high amongst teenagers. A lot of teenagers get depressed, and it's easy to go to a drug to try and make you feel better during those times. So sorry if I'm rambling, but yeah, I just kind of just scared for my kids since they're about to enter into that same kind of stage of their lives, and I just hope they make good choices and surround themselves with good people.
Well, thank you so much for participating in my interview and giving your insight on this social issue. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. No problem. Thank you.
Thanks.